No, not yet. There I am. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another How May I Serve You? Ask Me Anything live stream. Cliff Ravenscraft here. It is Monday, September 8th, 2025. And I am here once again with an opportunity to connect with anyone and everyone who may desire to cross my path today, whether that's intentionally or maybe as you're browsing through your timeline in one of your social media channels. I am streaming live to YouTube, LinkedIn, and Facebook. And I have had over the past several months many people who have been connected with me for years. We haven't done much interaction as of late. And they saw me streaming live and they said, you know what? I see Cliff there. I'd love to join him in one of these in opportunities to connect and ask a question. So this is an opportunity for anyone and everyone. Doesn't matter even if you even know me all that well. If we've never had a conversation, but you've been connected with me, or even if you're just maybe Facebook suggested that I would be good content for your feed. There must be some reason for divine appointments that just happen, the serendipity that can happen in these conversations. Now, right now, I'm speaking to those of you who are watching the replay. If you're watching this and the stream has already ended, I encourage you to go to cliffravenscraft.com/join and see if there isn't a list of upcoming scheduled sessions. I have committed to doing this for as long as it continues to feel aligned. I will say that in the early days when I was doing this, and over the course of about 6 weeks, I had about 35 amazing conversations. It felt incredibly aligned. As of late, there's been less and less people participating, joining me here, but it could be just a little bit of a season. We'll see. I am definitely committed to being here for the remainder of this week, and we'll continue to play it by ear. So, yeah, there it is. Now, as I sit here, I can tell you that there has been 2 or 3 people have popped into the live stream, just meaning that it has probably auto played on somebody's app as they're flipping through social media, and then the view goes away. So it is what it is. I'm going to sit here, hang out for, let's just say, a few moments. Each time I see the little indicator tell me that somebody's viewing, I'll come back and kind of share what's going on here. I'll hang out for at least 5 to 10 minutes. And if nobody joins me within 5 to 10 minutes, I will continue on with the rest of my day doing some other things. But I do have a Zoom call loaded up. I see somebody out there right now. Hello, welcome. If you would like to join me here live, feel free to go to cliffravenscraft.com/join, and you could ask me anything. Just willing to be of support and encouragement to anyone about any topic. There is no agenda here, by the way. There is no ulterior motive. There's no sales pitch. There's no promotion, no anything. Benjamin, by the way, is out there and says, hey, Cliff. Hello, Benjamin. Great to have you out there viewing on YouTube. And I'm thrilled that you actually did let me know that you're out there by throwing in a comment, because sometimes I have no way of seeing who's out there. So I appreciate that comment. If anybody would like to join me here, just go over to cliffravenscraft.com/join. Benjamin says, I've been watching you for a long time. And I love the long in all caps. That's awesome. And the exclamation mark at the end there. Well, Benjamin, I don't know if you're available to chat. I have a Zoom call that you could join if you wanted to. No pressure, by the way. But if you wanted to, you can join via your desktop or your phone over here, cliffravenscraft.com/join. Would love to learn a little bit more about you, but if you're in a situation where you're not free to jump on and have a conversation, I totally understand that as well. Alrighty, I see some other folks have joined watching the live stream here. I'm available via a Zoom call for anyone who would like to engage with me on any topic. This is not a part of any sort of sales process. This is no marketing. This is me simply here looking to be of service to you. Benjamin says, I've spent 35 years in the restaurant industry and have just retired a year ago, and I miss it so much, laughing out loud. And he says, no, give me a second, and I would love to jump on. Awesome. We love that. This is exciting. So let me just write down that Benjamin is going to be on here. So Benjamin and Schultz, Schultz. So Benjamin will be joining us shortly. If anybody else is out there, and I do actually see there are several of you streaming live now, this is an opportunity to ask me anything, to have a conversation about any topic. No agenda here, no sales pitch. I have nothing to share other than just being present in the moment. Conversation about anything. If you've been following me, connecting with me, if anything I've ever done resonates with you and you'd like to just chit chat for even just a few short moments, I have a Zoom call standing by right now. All you need to do is go to cliffravenscraft.com on your desktop or your mobile device. Either one will work. And you can click and it'll bring you in via Zoom, and we'll bring you up on the video here and be streaming out all together, having a conversation. So would be delighted to have you participate. Benjamin's getting his stuff prepared. Let's see here. I've got Michael says, hi, what do you know about self-publishing? I'm personally not familiar with self-publishing. Personally, I have not self-published any books, but I do know many people who have self-published. Michael, if you want to have a conversation about your journey of self-publishing, if there's some specific areas where you're looking for some advice or feedback, as far as the technical ins and outs of, what platforms to use and things like that, probably won't be very much help. However, if you're on a journey of getting a book published, certainly I believe a dialogue around what your vision of the book is and what your goals are, what you're trying to accomplish, there's certainly a lot of value that could come out of a single conversation if you are interested. I am standing by with a Zoom call here. Benjamin Schultz is going to be joining us in just a moment, but there's still time for more people to join me here at cliffravenscraft.com/join. Thank you for the question, Michael. By the way, if you are on YouTube or Facebook, you can put a comment on either of those platforms. If you are on LinkedIn and watching this, I do not see your LinkedIn comments. Now, I say that I can go over to LinkedIn and sign in as myself and pull up my live stream. So I could actually try to monitor that in the background. So let me just go to my profile, and I want to go down here where it says I'm live. So let's click on that. And of course, it's going to do that. There we go. Okay. So yeah, there's no comments there just yet. Let me pull that off, and then I'll cover up my live stream so I'm not distracted by the moving image that's certainly very much time delayed. Okay, so with that, if you are just standing by to be entertained, that's no worries whatsoever. We do have, I think, Benjamin that's going to be joining us for just a moment. Again, cliffravenscraft.com/join if you would like to join here on the Zoom call. This is an opportunity to have a conversation about anything. All right, so let's pull up 16:9. All right, Benjamin. Oh, let me switch that. Let me go over to 16:9. How's that? There we go. If you want to unmute yourself. There's a little, yeah, I think you almost got it. Zoom, not yet. Zoom hides it there. I still see the little mute icon. And
okay, I think I've got you.
You are there.
Excuse me. Hi, Cliff. How are you doing?
Do you go by Benjamin or Ben?
Ben. If I'm in trouble, it's Benjamin. But
okay, so let me just write this down. So Ben.
Sure. Yes.
How are you? So you've been watching for a long time, huh?
Well, yeah. I don't remember exactly how long, but I know it's been at least five, between 5 and 10 years, something like that. I'm bad with time if I don't have a schedule in front of me, but it's been something that I've been looking at and thinking about doing for probably close to a long time. Again, bad with time, but probably 15, 20 years.
When you say it's
Um,
something I've been looking at doing, what is it specifically that you've
uh,
been thinking of?
Podcasting.
Okay.
I have done a bit of voiceover when I was younger, a little bit younger. And, now that my lovely wife, I say retired, I got retired. My wife said, "Hey, I have a grandson in Arkansas." So I left all the rock star lifestyle I had, and here I am in Arkansas, in the middle of nowhere now. But I have internet and still have the voice by Marlboro and Jameson. I won't be lying to you, but trying to quit those out. But anyway, but yeah, just a little brief history.
And you were in the restaurant business.
Yes, sir. Fine dining and nightclubs, pretty much. I mean, all over the country, really, but most recently in Kansas, in Wichita, Kansas, and then um, yeah, the fine dining restaurants. I love it. I miss it a great deal, but you know, when your
Yeah.
lovely wife says, "Hey, guess what?" So you go.
Well, happy wife, happy life is something I hear a lot about. So, is it working out for you now?
Very much so.
That's
Very much so.
awesome.
I mean, bought a little acreage, and I'm trying to pretend that I'm starting a wood shop. That's where I'm at right now. But one of my other hobbies that I do. So,
Nice. Well, is there
mhm.
any way that I could be of service to you today?
What would be? Yeah, I think is the biggest thing getting started more about just doing it than it is worrying um, about knowing exactly what you're doing. To produce something is better than to just stand around and go, "Oh, I wonder if," or just because I'm caught with paralysis through analysis.
Mm-hmm.
Is that the best way to do it?
Well, let's explore this for just a moment. What would you say success means for you as far as I assume we're still talking about launching a podcast
Yes. Mm-hmm.
and let's
And
just
YouTube. Mm-hmm.
and YouTube. Okay, so I was that was going to be my next question. Is a podcast audio only, but it sounds to me like there's a video element as well. Okay,
Yes.
so would you be doing YouTube and that would also be released as an audio podcast as well?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, so now we've got the thing that we want to get launched, and the question is, should I just get out there and do it, or do I kind of figure some things out, create a plan and a strategy, and put it all into place? And I would say the first question to discuss, the first topic to discuss, is what does success look like? What do you hope to achieve with this podcast slash YouTube channel?
So there's two portions of it. One of them being my past, all the restaurants and service industry and service in general. And then also uh, making fuel carpentry and just I enjoy doing it a lot. And I'm always asked, "Hey Ben, how do you do this?" Or because God love them, there's a lot of people out there that you give them directions and a hammer and they couldn't beat their way out of a wet paper bag, which blows my mind. I grew up with nothing, so we ended up having to fix everything ourselves. So those are the two areas. The podcast. For years, I wanted to start one, and I want to give away the name, but we'll go ahead and put it out there since I've been talking about it forever. Would be drinks with the bartender. Um, being the concept being everybody loves talking to the bartender, and I've met some of the most amazing people when I was bartending, and then as I progressed in my career, and just being just that basis of interview. I don't drink much anymore, but I still think it's kind of an interesting point of view.
Okay. So let me share with you what I've heard so far. One, I've heard there are two different types of podcasts that you're considering and slash YouTube channels. One is from your restaurant industry perspective, and the other one is the maker community, woodworking, stuff like that. So,
Mm-hmm.
but then I hear the concept for a podcast is something about conversations with a bartender. So that would be from the restaurant industry side of things. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So what does success let's do the conversations with a bartender. What
Mm-hmm.
does success mean for you when it comes to, let's just say, 3 to 4 years down the road from now? What does that look like?
I would really like to be able to impress to the world how important service actually is. So to me, success would be getting that message out. And I won't bore you with, I mean, on your time here, Cliff, but I think I have a theory about it boiling down to the fact that people don't have a mind for service anymore. And that's one of the problems with, I mean, when you don't have service, that means, or if you don't approach things from that perspective of being of service to other people, you actually start being very selfish and not being self-aware about what other people are going through. So I think societally there's a lot of issues, but also, I mean, I think you could probably attest to this as well, but everyone's experienced going to the grocery store or Walmart or Lowe's and checking out your own groceries or your own product. There's a lack of service there. And I think that that's something that our world is definitely missing about how to be hospitable. Because service, I mean, again, I won't go too far into this, but does that answer your question as far as what I see it as, what success
So,
is?
so yes, there are a couple of
Okay.
things. There's side tangent conversation. We could just have a conversation about being of service. To just I there's this phrase playing devil's advocate, but I'm
Please.
not I'm not so much about that. But I just want to share. This is just completely unrelated to me being of service to you and talking about the success of your podcast. But it's just a side tangent. But as I heard you say that, I just thought for just one moment, when I go into a Walgreens or when I go into a Kroger grocery store, or when I go to another place that actually has a self checkout, I
Mm-hmm.
actually consider that to be of great service to me. But
Okay.
I'm an introvert, and I kind of like,
Mm-hmm.
I just like, if I can just avoid small talk here right now, I'm like laser focused. I'm locked in on something here.
Mm-hmm.
But however, I must admit, I always would prefer to have an option to have somebody to go to and be checked out by a human being in the situation where I particularly have a question or whatever the case may be.
Mm-hmm.
But that is a whole different. But I just like universally, there might be some people who are well served by actually having the ability to check out. But I totally get what you're
Well,
saying.
okay, let's go ahead tangentially.
Yeah,
Let's go ahead and go with
yeah.
this for just a minute because the podcast has been in the thoughts for 25 years. So anyway, but
It can wait 20 more minutes,
I
right?
exactly precisely. Well, here's what I say about this. I agree with you. I'm an introvert as well. I used to say I'm an introvert that needed to learn how to overcome it. And there's some stuff in my past. I mean, the way I grew up, lovely family, but again, with nothing, I was very, very self conscious. And I didn't understand how the world worked. So I started bartending so I could figure it out. How guys get in girls, however, I mean, it didn't make sense. Well, through all of this process, um, it made me a lot more aware. And here's what I found. As an introvert, going back to that, as an introvert, I had to find that there's a separate part of me, like a role, if you would. Um, I just pretended to be a social gregarious guy. So I understand what you're saying because I am not a social gregarious guy. We moved to the middle of nowhere here. We got these 8 acres. I'm upset when I have to go to the grocery store to get out of town. So to go into town. But there is a part of me that does love. So I'll tell you what. If let's say that this interaction we're having here actually becomes something beneficial to you, and you were able to use this in whatever format, the fact that I'm of help to you in some way, excuse me, is something that's very important to me, and would make it worth my time for spending here uh, on the workbench or talking with you. But it would also mean that it's something that other people are going to gain something from. Now, going to use the analogy of the checkout. With the checkout, yes, I have 2 or 3 5 items. It's probably quicker to go through that. Do you know what it's like when you walk in? You go to a fine dining restaurant and you have a host that's like, name, what's your name? I hate that. That's
Yeah.
so. When I told everyone, so we had whatever the color of the doors. The last one was beautiful doors that we had made. Um, I told all of my staff, everybody, and forgive me, I say staff colloquial for this, but actually we're coworkers. And I would tell them, I was like, "You're welcome. Hey, I'm glad you're here. Cliff, I haven't seen you in a couple of weeks. What's been going on? How's one? Or if I've never met you, you know what? I'm really jealous of your beard. They won't let me grow a beard, whatever it is. I'm making you feel like you're wanted. And it really is irrelevant of how my day has been. It really doesn't matter. I mean, because it's restaurants, something went bad. I guarantee it, something has gone off the rails today before you walked in to see. Whether it be something small like someone was late to work or something big like, hey, there was a bit of a fire out back. So, but if I can give you that experience, and if you were able to take the checkout version of that versus the 5 minutes or the faster time. Um, Again, when you say I would like to have the option, that's what I'm talking about,
Yeah.
because the option then changes. Because let's say that you really just have those 5 items and you're going through your day, but you are locked in. Maybe it's a stressful day, and you come up to my line, I'm like, hey, how are you doing today, man? While I'm working, I'm not stopping. I'm being processing it through, and we have a nice interaction. That's something that you can benefit from how I treat you,
Mm-hmm.
because it's the humanity part, and that humanity is being lost
Yeah.
quickly because of, like, today. Today I've spent probably, I would guess, probably 3 hours just looking at YouTube. I'm actually working on something, trying to figure something out, but you get into those tangents. So I haven't had much interaction with human beings. I got
Hmm.
my dog out here, and he's awesome. That's about it. So these are the things that I'm talking about, and I'm pretty passionate about. I know quite a bit about it, but that's one of the things that I think translate. One of the things that I've always enjoyed about your content is that how you actually try and give that to me as somebody consuming your content, watching you, and especially for this long. I know that you're doing this for. I mean, you provide for your family. Don't get me wrong, and everybody has to do that. And so, when you're asking the question, taking this full circle back, what do I see as success? If I'm only chasing dollars, I'll only make dollars. And I think that's one of the problems in our world is if you're only chasing dollars, you're only going to make dollars. I would really like to make money. Don't get me wrong. We all have to pay our bills. We all want to be able to take care of our kids and grandkids and put food on the table. But also, if amongst that, I'm able to provide something like you provided to all the people consuming your content, that's an amazing thing. And I think it's dramatically overlooked in our society. I
So
feel
let
like
me
I'm going on and on. Sorry.
Okay, so you've been wanting to this is perfect. This is brilliant. It's very clear that you have this passion. It's your energy is coming through like nobody's business. So let me ask you, why has it been several years and what has kept you from actually launching?
um, so paralysis through analysis, fear of failure and fear of success. But also in the restaurant business, you work 80 to 100 hours a week. I made good money. I mean, I really did. I was very successful at it. But now I'm in the middle of nowhere. I have the
Okay.
opportunity.
So wonderful. How long have you been in the new lifestyle, moved to where you're currently at?
Settled for about 7 months.
Okay, settled for 7 months. Why
Mm-hmm.
in 7 months has there been no launch of the podcast? We understand the 80 hours per week. So
Yeah,
is
it's
it
gone
all
now.
so that yeah, so that's gone down. So fear of success and fear of failure. First of all,
Mm-hmm.
what does fear of success mean to you?
It's the unknown. Both of them are the unknown. It's fear of the unknown because you don't know if you're if I'm successful, what does that look like? I don't have a clue. I mean, people like you and some of the other people that I watch, I would deem that a success, as being a successful content creator, YouTuber, whatever. Um, yeah,
And
that would be.
so let's just say you become successful in whatever picture in your mind that looks like for you.
Mhm.
It's unknown whether or not you will get to that level. That there's certainly a part of that. But let's just say if you do, let's just say you experience the success that you have in your mind. What are some of the problems or pains that you would experience? Do you think? What kind of pictures in your mind, or what kind of stories or narratives are you telling yourself that success might bring into your life that might not be pleasurable?
Well, I think probably the insecurities. I mean, I think everyone has our insecurities, whether it be I'm overweight, I'm bald, I'm whatever it is. But also, I've not always been the best man, and got in my younger days, I was a troublemaker, if you will, and without getting too far into that, no criminal activity, but still not a good guy. And I insincerity and not insincerity. I can't stand people that are fake. My initials are BS, so I'm pretty aware, and then what I did for a living for so long, so that's I'm pretty aware of what that looks like, and I think that people that are inauthentic are. I always call them a tooth polisher, used car salesman, right? That was a bad analogy now because the whole industry that whole industry has changed, but People our age would kind of understand that. I don't. I think that inauthenticity, or if I'm coming across saying service is this, but the judgment. I mean, let me just the judgment of others, whether it be people in the past, and because I have a comfortable life, I don't have to go into any of this. It's just something that I kind of like to.
So, okay, this is beautiful. All right, insecurities, judgment of others, and specifically, you mentioned three things: being overweight, bald, and my past.
Mm-hmm,
First of all, I've never seen you with hair, so all I know is who you look like now. And if
mm-hmm,
you wouldn't have told me just by judging a book by its cover,
mm-hmm,
if you wouldn't have told me that you had any insecurity whatsoever, I would have thought you would have been an attractive, very self-confident, like I own myself in my skin, and I have to beat the ladies off of me. And quite frankly, I don't see the rest of you, but it's kind of like you look kind of like stout and built, and I wouldn't have imagined you as somebody who has a weight problem by any stretch of the imagination. So
mm-hmm.
it's
Camera angles.
interesting. What's that?
Camera angles.
Yeah, camera
Go on.
angles.
I'm sorry. I don't
Exactly.
mean to interrupt.
That's cool. But here's the thing. One of the things I love is you speak about authenticity. You want to be an authentic person. And one of the things that you could truly do to demonstrate the power of being of service to others is to own your authentic self, which is to own your insecurities.
Mm-hmm.
I'll give you a perfect example of this. You say you've been following me for a very long time. So you remember when were you following me during this season where I was doing my Free the Dream conference in 2018, 2019?
Mm-hmm.
And did you know me back in 2014 when I made a commitment I'm going to work out 6 days a week every week
I
for
do
the
remember.
rest of
Yes, I
my
remember
life?
that. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
for 5.5 years, I worked out pretty much almost every day, at least 6 days a week. Sometimes for the longest period, 7 days a week, anywhere between 1 to 3 hours a day. And I dropped from nearly 300 pounds down to 180. And that was
Good for you.
with me putting on, yeah, exactly. Thank you. But hold on, but wait, there's more.
But wait, there's more.
So I
Yep.
had dropped all the way to 180 pounds, but that's
Mm-hmm.
with 35 pounds of muscle mass that was added. So you talk about dropping a lot of body fat, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you talk about insecurities. When COVID hit, everything that I had done mindset wise to neurologically create a persona. And a persona is nothing more than an identity that I created for myself. I created Cliff Ravenscraft is a gym rat. Cliff Ravenscraft is a guy who travels to the gym 6 to 7 days a week and stays at that gym until he pours out so much sweat that his shirt is sopping wet, dripping. He does not leave the gym until 1 to 3 hours later. Then he does these live streams from the front seat of his car called Reflections of the from the Front Seat, and he's out here, doing all this stuff, and that was my identity. And I did a lot of things that I learned from NLP, neuro linguistic programming. I created this such that that just became who I was, and it was just on autopilot. In COVID, they shut down the gym. Originally, it was going to be 2 weeks to slow the spread. And I think you remember that actually extended far beyond 2 weeks, unfortunately. Well, guess what? I have a gym that's about 800 feet away from me in another room. It's got probably about ten or $15,000 worth of equipment in it. But do you know all of the programming I did wasn't I wasn't Cliff Ravenscraft is a guy who works out at his house every single day. My identity was Cliff goes to the gym.
Oh, I see.
And I didn't even realize it until afterwards that I had like failed to see the potential. I was like, at the time before COVID, what's the chances that they're going to shut down gyms for over a year? And
Right.
so it never would have occurred to me. Now, knowing what I know now, maybe I program this thing a little bit differently. All of that to say this. I'm going to stand up and I'm going to show you what I look like today. So in 2019, before COVID, I had like big guns, I had big arms, I had a thin chiseled face, and I had a chiseled body. Today I look like this.
Mm.
I just for several years I just stopped working out, and during COVID I had actually allowed myself to be convinced that it was very likely that me and everybody I know on this planet is probably going to die. And I got like stuck into this narrative that was being told, and I was freaking out, and I went back to some old emotional triggers of eating unhealthy foods, and I completely let everything go. Now,
Mm-hmm.
with that being said, do you think anything less of me right now?
No, sir.
Like, do you think anything less of me now than before this conversation started?
Mm-mm. No.
Do you feel like I'm being of even greater service to you by being vulnerable and sharing that thing that was a significant major insecurity for me over the past 5.5 years?
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Sorry.
I'm being more of service to you, not because I lost the weight after 6 years and kept it off ever since then. No, I mean, sure, I would be of service to you if I continued to work through and I immediately recognized what was going on and I would have stuck with it. And then all of a sudden it's like, well, gosh, Ben, let's talk about how you can deal with your insecurities about weight. I can help you lose weight. Or today I can say, hey, Ben, I can help you overcome your insecurity about your body.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, let me just share with you and serve you even more here. And that is by telling you this. When COVID was kind of like done and they were opening everything back up, I started getting invited to come back to all the conferences that I had spoke at previously. I refused for 3 years straight. I refused to attend any live event in person, because all of those live events I attended every year. And of course, they all were events that I attended back when I weighed almost, between 260 to 300 pounds. But
Mm-hmm.
those are the same events I went to every year where they saw my journey of dropping all of that weight and getting down. And then here I show up after, no, I can't let
Yeah.
people know. I had such insecurity about that. And so I hid behind my microphone.
Mm-hmm.
I stopped producing live streams. I stopped showing up on videos.
Mm-hmm.
It was what it was. Eventually, I began working through some of these limiting beliefs and personal issues. Have you ever read a book called The Four Agreements?
No.
I would encourage you to grab this book. You could read it in a single afternoon. It's that short. But
Okay.
just promise me this: if you read this book and you agree with what it says about the four agreements, which, by the way,
Mm-hmm.
are don't take anything personally, don't make assumptions,
Mm-hmm.
um, let's see here, be impeccable with your word, and always do your best. Those are the four agreements. If you
Yeah.
read these agreements and specifically the chapters that talk about those four agreements, and they resonate with you, and you're like, yes, wow, this, just do me a favor. Do
Mm-hmm.
not put that book away. Go back and reread those chapters again, because this book is so simple, so to the point. Most people who I give this to read, they read it, agree with it, and move on with life. There is an opportunity and an invitation for you to master these four agreements, such that what I just did just a moment ago, standing up and showing you what my belly waistline looks like now, total non-issue for me. It doesn't concern me at all, because I learned to not take anything personally. The other thing that I did is I agreed to always do the best that I can and always give myself grace for anything that's been in my past. So this and the one thing that I've learned through this journey of healing from my fear of other people's perceptions of me, when I recognized that first and foremost, those perceptions of me are definitely not, they don't have anything to do with me at all. All these people who say, oh my gosh, how did you let yourself go? How do you call yourself a guy who can be of support and encouragement? You can't even keep a donut out of your mouth. That is all them projecting their insecurities onto me. Does that make sense?
Of course.
So that's the first thing that I learned. But here's the situation. There are sometimes, by the way, I have a very encouraging word for you. You want to hear it?
Please.
You will be judged. I just
Um,
want to encourage you.
Thank you.
You will be judged. There will be people who will point out every flaw that you have, every rough edge that you have. They will find it and they will point it out. Not everyone, but just those really sick, hurt people. And I'm not like judging them like, dude, you're sick. No, they are actually sick. They actually have an illness that is causing them to lash out. They're hurt people that are trying to hurt others. This is something that I learned. Nobody can judge me and say anything bad about me and have it impact me at all in any negative way unless one thing is true. I am actually judging myself for that very thing.
So, thank you. I don't mean to. There's a couple of things. I've been making notes. I'm sorry. I had to run and grab a pencil. That was about the Four Agreements book. I'll have that and start reading it as soon as it gets there. But first of all, don't ever disparage donuts. Yeah, sorry, I couldn't resist. So the other's judgment. The other thing that gets me is that occurred to me just I just realized that, remember that I told you that I play a role at restaurants when I was in the restaurant. My role was I'm confident, I know what's going on, even when I'm like, what the F happened here? And I'm trying to refrain. I have a bad potty mouth, so I'm refraining. But when those things happen, I would have to say, okay, I'm in control because of how it affects others, how it affected my coworkers, how it affected even the owners and the guests. One of the things that I now realize in our conversation now, and thank you for this, I'll be eternally grateful for this part alone, let alone all the other things. The judgment that I got at restaurants happened, even through the facade that I was always putting up, or that character, if you will. But it's a facade, but of always in control, Mr. Personality, because I could honestly give in it. Excuse me, it was hard. It was some days it was a challenge to go be nice to people that didn't deserve to be nice, and that's or didn't deserve my kindness. Excuse me. But now I'm realizing, and this is what I want to thank you for, is that I was still being judged, because I could tell you, we could sit here for the next 5 hours. I'm not exaggerating. And I could tell you horrible, they call them Karen stories now, horrible about what happened to myself, my staff, and all from really good people. And some of them are anecdotal, and some of them were really kind of scary and disturbed. So when you say those people are sick, you're absolutely right. And it's not sickness as far as COVID or whatever. It that meant that hurt.
Yeah,
I think people throw
it
that.
is a psychological illness.
Of course it is, and it's well, and they're probably going through their own version of what we're talking about,
They
because I know
absolutely
everyone
are.
has this. Like you said, Ben, here's a bit of that you are being judged. I know I'm being judged. Hell, my wife judges me. I mean,
Yeah.
if I don't put socks away or whatever it is, or it that happens. I do the judging as well. Um, so I guess thank you.
Well, and let me put a bow on this particular part of it and tell you just this one story. So I went eventually after about 4 years. I was invited once again. It's like, Cliff, please come back and speak, or come back and attend, whatever. Just come. We miss you. So I went back. And just a couple weeks before I went out, I went and bought some brand new shirts, that wouldn't cling to my belly to show my shape so much, and all this other
Yes,
stuff.
sir.
And so I went out and I bought all these huge shirts that just wouldn't show. Anyway, I woke up every morning in the hotel every day there, and I put on my undershirt, my white undershirt, I put on the button-up shirt, and I look in the mirror, and do you want to know something? There is nobody's judgment that was more harsh than the actual chemicals, the cortisol and everything that was just absolutely cascading through my bloodstream. How
Mm-hmm.
pitiful, how horrible, how could you let this, what are people going to say about you, all this other stuff. And it's only because, so what I'm getting at, and I think the turning point here is, we could put on a confident mask. We could actually create a confident identity. We could mask this and completely pretend it's not there. That certainly is a possibility. But one of the things that really helped me, and the four agreements was a part of it. And I think I actually came across the four agreements after I learned this lesson, but the four agreements just says it so beautifully and so simply, almost to a fault, because like I said, some people just agree with it and move on and think they got it. And if you're still experiencing the fear of judgment of others, aka taking things personally, you haven't got it yet. You agree with it intellectually, but man, there's there more. So what happened was, eventually I got to the place where I actually chose to stop judging myself. And so the first agreement is actually be impeccable with your word. And this isn't just the words that, and by the way, the word impeccable, it says be without sin. It just means that don't do anything to harm another or yourself with your word. That's simply what being impeccable with your word is. And what I did not recognize is how much, yes, I sometimes, not just, I don't actually say very much negatively to anyone, about anyone, or anything like that out loud. But here, there's all sorts of words that I will hold on to and cycle through, and
Mm-hmm.
never more so than the guy I see in the mirror. And as soon as I actually was confronted with the invitation to be impeccable with my word, which was an invitation to never speak or think a negative word towards myself, all of my self-judgment, I said, I love myself unconditionally. I love all of who I am, and my body as it is today is perfectly acceptable. It is received, it's appreciated, it is what I have. And that's not to say that I don't have preferences. It doesn't mean that I don't want to take better care of it. It doesn't mean all this other, but man, I release all judgment of myself. As soon as that happened, all of a sudden I'm out speaking everywhere. I'm hosting live workshops again. I'm showing up on video every day. And I'm more than happy to stand up and show people how much weight I've gained. It's just like it's a part of my story, and it's no longer an issue. So the reason why I share the four agreements as it relates to this, I think if you were to read this book and accept the invitation to be impeccable with your word and not take anything personally, I think at least 95% of your fear of judgment of others will go away. The other thing is, and that's around all of the insecurities. Now, you say that you have some stuff in your, oh, by the way, let me just pull this up from J.R. Lawhorn. He's right here. He says, it's on Spotify as an audiobook too,
Oh,
if you
cool.
happen to have a premium account. Thank you, JR.
Thank you, Mr. Lawrence. Appreciate it.
So, okay, fear of success. I might be judged. I will. You could be impeccable with your word, not take anything personally, always do the best you can.
Mm-hmm.
There seems to be some things that you've done in the past. And also the fact that in the past you've had to wear masks. I kind of felt like you're saying, like in this past, I had to be this super ultra confident. I know I'm in control here kind of thing. And yet at the other side, there's a part of you that wants to be this authentic person. And if we're being truly authentic, we all pretty much don't have control over pretty much anything, really. So there is that fine line of, I have a desire to project myself as a confident person who is competent and in control of the situation, when in
Hmm.
reality there are certain things that are outside of my control, and I may be masking. And I think I think you're wise enough to know how to approach what you're doing and still be authentic and transparent to the level that is of service, of the best service to those who are consuming your content.
Okay. I see what you're saying. I think that I believe that there are elements of this that I'm still dealing with, the past, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Um, and it has something. I mean, it's things that I feel bad about myself. No one's after me. I'm not hiding from anyone. Where I'd be hiding, this probably wouldn't be happening. But um, there's definitely some things that I probably need to address in that regard about myself.
Well, if
There's
you
a few different things too, if I'm being perfectly honest with you, but
well,
that I need to address about me. Go ahead.
then
Sorry.
if you're interested, I'd be delighted to give you a private complimentary 90-minute completely confidential one-on-one session with me, because if it's not other people but it's only you,
Mhm.
that can be dealt with in a single 90-minute conversation.
Yeah, I'm not going to turn anything down from Mr. Rambo. I'll tell you what. I don't want to. Yes, that'd be great.
All right, great.
Yeah.
So what I'm going to do is inside of Zoom chat, let me just go in here and get a link, and I'm going to post this in here for you. So cliffravenscraft.com/this, boom. Are you on your phone or a desktop?
I'm on my phone.
You're on your
I'm on my
phone.
phone.
All right,
Hmm.
so just do me a favor. Do you see that link in the chat that popped
I
up?
see it.
Click
Yep.
on it and it'll open up your browser on your phone, and just
Hmm.
leave that open and then choose a date and time that works for you.
Okay.
When and it's my gift to you. There's no strings attached, no expectation of anything beyond it. But I have
Thank you.
a magical gift of helping people break up with the self-judgment of those things.
I'm in respect to your live stream. I will keep my mouth shut a little bit here, but
Yeah.
thank you. That would be great. I
Awesome.
will. Select one here in just a moment. I know you've got other people. Did you go
No, I
for my
don't have
phone?
other people. So if you
Oh
unless
no,
you're ready to run.
no. I don't
Okay.
know how much more I can share with you about
No,
what kind
you
of
don't need
BS I'm going through.
yeah, you don't need to share anything more about that. So
Okay.
that's no worries at all. We're going to put a pin in that until we have a
Yeah.
private conversation. All right, but I can
Okay.
still explore with you publicly here on the fear of failure side of things.
Hmm.
All right. So, what's the worst thing that could happen? You go out there, you put out a YouTube channel, and what? Nobody shows up?
I mean, yeah. I mean, look. Here's the thing. Let me preface all. Let me also say, excuse me, add in, not preface, but add in. I realize how absolutely ludicrous some of the stuff
You're
that I
fine.
say sounds. I get it because I'm scared of failure. Well, whatever. I mean, what is failure? But like you said, it's one video and nobody watches. All right. Well, failure is that, or failure is people judging, which I'm not sure why I really care because between you and I, with people look at me, I'm 6'3", 6'4". I'm 260. I'm I've always been okay. Like you said, I appreciate the compliments you said earlier. My wife is the only woman I give a shit about, give a crap about. Excuse me. I'm sorry. Um, and she's the only one I notice. But this, I, I, I get told a lot that I come across very intense and intimidating. Um, I mean, I'm trying to be nice with my voice right now, but I sound like a Bond villain and look like a henchman. So that's something that I know
The
that when I'm, let's
by
say,
the
at the
way,
grocery store.
neither of those, neither of
Yeah.
those, none of that of what you just said exists in anyone else's reality other than your own mind.
Well,
The whole
okay.
Bond villain and your voice and your
I
intimidating. I have not felt any of that, and when I hear you say it and I look at you and I listen to you, I can't I can't even begin to imagine that being real.
I appreciate that, and that makes me feel good. That means that I'm doing right now. Um, I do it though. I have been told. My wife will even tell me she'll be like, "Hey, fix your stuff," and because I walk around and I have a little bit of a scowl on my face, and that's just I don't know, like every man wants his back, doesn't want his back to the door. It's that kind of same mentality. It's a security thing. But anyway, nevertheless, I know how I can come across as very intense. I get told quite a bit that I have a tendency to go on and talk too much, which I think kind of benefits doing what we're talking about here. But in conversation, sometimes it can be people tune out really quickly. I also have a, you want to talk about judgmentalness, being judgmental. I There is a standard to be in my life, and if you're not up to that standard, then I'm not going to have you in my life. And that's, I think it's a boundaries thing, and I think that's a smart and wise thing. However, there are ways of executing that that are the proper and uh, manners matter a lot. Is what I'm saying. Being polite to people and having some manners and being a gentleman. Um, but I don't know why. Going back to what we're talking about here, I don't know why I have this silly insecurity about failure on video, because a failure really is not one view. Failure would be a bunch of views and everybody saying, "Oh, look at this," whatever, and then add whatever expletives and adjectives they want to add into it. Um, but here's the silly part: in my life, as I walk around, I there is not a way for me to care less about the people's opinion of me. I genuinely, I don't work in a business anymore that I need to be concerned about, because usually in restaurants, if people don't like you, you don't make money. Well, that's part of that facade that I was talking about. Well, now I don't have that. That is, gone. But if I get back into this, well, you don't find success or make money if people don't like you. But it's the internet and it's the entire world. So it's not just, the 10 people in my neighborhood or the 50 people at church or whatever it is.
Yeah.
It's the entire planet.
So,
And
well, here's the thing: it's the entire planet, or you do all of this and nobody shows up.
mhm.
And ironically, don't be surprised if I come back. This is why I recommend the 4 agreements, because there's one of the agreements that you'll be invited to make, to take on, is the agreement to never make assumptions. Don't assume that what meaning you're associating to people not responding or this or that. Don't believe everything your mind tells you about all the stuff. You're just making assumptions. I'll give you a perfect example. So this, going with my own story here. So I started these live streams, Ask Me Anythings, where I would schedule it for 90 minutes. And the first 6 weeks that I was doing this is like people were just like lined up. There were, if on Zoom, you're actually seeing this on Zoom, you would have seen like 3 or 4 other people waiting in line to talk to Cliff next. And it was like, oh my gosh, this is so amazing. This is awesome. And then one Monday I was doing a live stream, in 90 minutes, not one person showed up the entire time. I'm like, huh, that's interesting. What does that? But because I've gone through this, it just doesn't bother me. It's like, okay, I'm going
Mhm.
to sit here. Eventually, I started creating this up on the screen, and it says, hey, this is what's, or actually, it was this one right here. Why am I just sitting here? Because I'm waiting for you. Yes, you. This is an Ask
I
Me
like
Anything,
that.
and I would just sit here and do my work while nobody's here. And I could say whatever I would want to say about it, but I will tell you that over this past couple last week, I had very few interactions. I literally showed up every single day last week and had very few interactions, maybe 2 or 3 the entire week. And I before this live stream, like at the beginning, it's like, am I going to have anybody join me today? I have no idea. And then there's this little voice that says, Cliff, you said you were going to do some more to promote it. You didn't write an email. You didn't put a social media post. You didn't do this and blah, blah,
Right.
blah. And then this voice
Mhm.
in my head also says, Cliff, just show up and see if anybody does. Just talk to the crowd as they come in and blah, blah, blah. And if it doesn't happen within 10 to 15 minutes, you can shut it down. But even I was starting to say, you know what? If I go this week and nobody joins me at all this week, maybe I'll just stop doing this and find a different way
Mhm.
for me to make myself available to be of
Mhm.
support and encouragement to folks. But the thing is that there's I can tell you there is a very tiny part of me that still wants to say, wow, Cliff, you've really lost your influence in the world. You've totally lost all of your credibility. Look at this. You show up and nobody wants to be here. That voice is there, and I hear it. I acknowledge that it's there, but I also know it's not true. It is just not true. Are there some people who out there think those things? Yeah, absolutely. But what I also know to be true is the number of people that I personally reached out to who say, Cliff, you know what? I really wish I didn't work during the hours that you do these live streams. I would so love to take you up on that. I hope you keep doing these. One of these days, maybe I'll have a day off, or maybe I can take a lunch break, and blah blah. Blah. And it's like, so there are some people, and then the part of me is like, but why can't those people just find the time? It's like, you know
Right.
what? It just is what it is. And what I'm getting at is, if you look at my live streams, and so if you go to my YouTube channel and click on my lives and just click on play on the most recent several, you'll
Mhm.
see that it's like, man, I'm just sitting here, like nobody engaging with me. And it's like, what happened to Cliff? He grew this beard. He looks funny. He doesn't have,
I love the beard.
thank you. Nobody wants to talk to him anymore. He can't even give his coaching away for free. How does he expect to actually blah, blah, blah? And it's
Sorry.
like, and those people exist,
Hmm.
but it doesn't actually change the fact of, why am I here? I'm here to be of service to people. And the reason why, in spite of my fear of failing, for me, if we equate this to what you were talking about, what if I show up and nobody comes? And
Hmm.
if it happens once, no big deal. But what if I do it every day, 5 days a week, and almost every day nobody comes? And what if I do that for a month and nobody comes? Does that mean I'm a
Hmm.
failure? And my question to you is, do you think I'm a failure?
No, I
Okay.
think you have a perseverance that nobody knows. Go ahead. Sorry.
No,
No,
go
and that's
ahead.
just what I've seen. No, I see somebody that's been doing this long enough that my big dumbass has been watching you, and whether it be actively or even passively, for how many years? I mean, it's been a long time. I mean, it's been over a decade that I know that I've been watching you, and you haven't stopped. I mean,
Yeah.
that says a lot, and that's stuff that I really respect, regardless of how I believe about one content or another, about what you're putting out, whether it speaks to me or not. Doesn't, by golly, it's there.
Yeah. And
I
and
just
and
said by golly.
by golly, I love it. I love it.
I'm trying to be nice for you, is what it
I
is.
I
No,
I
I'm
can
kidding. I'm
tell.
kidding.
I can tell. So, Ben, here's what I want you to hear. You may actually fail to meet numbers and goals and visions of success and all this other stuff. But it will only technically be failure is if you allow yourself to call and label it failure. So, for example, let's just say you didn't show up today. And if nobody else showed up today,
Mhm.
and I was about ready to, I would, right before you logged in, I was like, I was about ready to say, hey, I'm committed to doing this for the rest of this week. Well, before I was committed to doing it for the rest of September. But
Mhm.
if nobody would have showed up this week, I might have really asked myself, is this the most valuable use of my time, these 90 minutes each day, during the week? Would there be some place where I could go where I might be more likely to be of service to someone? And in that case, I very well may stop doing these live streams. But that doesn't mean I failed.
It
Does
means
that
a lot to me
land?
today. No, I exactly. Of course, of course. Well, what I just wrote down here: failure is going to happen, and it's okay. Continue on. The I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you're fine.
That's it did, yes.
Yeah.
It's
And
okay to pivot, but you never know when it's going to happen. You never know when a Ben Schultz is going to just text randomly into your, yeah.
that's exactly it. And here's what I absolutely know to be true. You've been following me for over a decade. This is the first time we've ever interacted.
Mhm. Yes, sir.
Never, never. You've never left a single comment. You've never written me a single email. You want to know how I know?
Mm.
Because I know everyone. Out of the hundreds
That's
of
awesome.
thousands in over 20 years, I know the names of the people who have emailed me. I just
That's
know it.
impressive.
I
Hmm.
care about people. And so, and what I love about this, there's this part of me, this inner voice that says, Cliff, just show up. Just make yourself available. Do your ask me anythings. And the most amazing, like serendipitous, divine appointment kind of conversations will come out of it that would not be possible any other way. You're the fifth person. You are the fifth person in the last 3 months who has been following me for more than a decade. We've never had an exchange of conversation before, but here we are talking at this depth.
Hmm.
And is that worth showing up to a couple of 90-minute sessions and just sitting here looking to some people as if I have no credibility, no influence, and what's Cliff doing in the world that he can't even give away his coaching? Is that worth it to have
Yeah.
this exchange? And for me, the answer is yes.
It is from, well, I mean, the same. Now, like I said, I've been doing a lot with my life and watching you and sometimes taking what I can from you, and sometimes it's just on in the background, and it's not just your videos. I do this a lot, but um, I, honest to God, I should be cleaning. I'm rebuilding a shop or a shed. I built all sorts of different things, and now I'm having to organize stuff into the proper totes. And I was looking for something to just put on while I'm working. And I saw you live. I was like, oh, click onto your live. And you did start talking about, and I was like, oh, I've never seen him live. So I said hi. I think I said hi, Cliff. And then there was nobody else in there. And you started saying if nobody else shows up, right as I got in before you read my first message, you were saying something to the effect of if nobody comes in, another 10 minutes, nobody's here. And I was like, well, I'm here. And honestly, I was looking for something. I was looking either for some stupid podcast or I'm such a nerd. Court cases, the televised court case. Oh my God, that stuff. Because my brain goes this way, like my brain can be here and my body can be here, right? But with that's you want to talk about serendipity,
Yeah.
and because my prayers have been actually about what do I do? I live in the middle of nowhere. The closest thing to a nice restaurant is McDonald's within 100 miles of me. Maybe I'm exaggerating by a few miles, but not much. And now I could open my own thing, but I would quickly go broke here.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's why now I'm looking at all these other options. And so you want to talk about serendipity? I like the word serendipity. I think it's an amazing word, but I don't believe in it. I don't believe in consequences. I believe that
You mean coincidences?
I don't believe in coincidences.
Yeah, you said consequences. Consequences are
Did I really?
very.
I'm sorry. Yes. No,
That's okay.
consequences I
I
absolutely do
I'm
believe in.
such an active listener. I hear every word, and so
Thank
I
you.
just wanted to make sure I heard you correctly. But yeah, you said I
Oh,
don't
thank you
believe
for
in
correcting me.
consequences.
No, I absolutely believe in consequences. I
Yeah,
don't believe in coincidences. I'm
yeah.
sorry, because
I
my
don't.
brain was going somewhere
I
else.
don't believe in coincidences either.
I,
Everything is by divine order.
exactly. Well, the Lord has been really, really using me for his own entertainment recently. And I think it's hilarious and frustrating. And apparently I'm supposed to learn some stuff now. And I was like, God, I'm done learning, dude. But anyway, I'm kidding, but I'll tell you what, you want to talk about a book. Have you ever read Wild at Heart by John Eldridge?
Yes, very good book.
It changed my life as a young man. And I've bought probably 25 copies of it over the years and given it to young men or men that I know. I got it in my 30s. And actually, that's not true. My mom gave it to me a little bit before that, but my mom gives me a bunch of books to read. And so I'm like, okay, mom. And I had a stack of them. And I went through a pretty bad breakup. And my little brother actually said, Ben, read this book. Okay. Changed my life. Just perspective shift. I was still, in my feelings because I was young and stupid and about the breakup, but it has helped me since. There's other things too, but it inspired me to start writing. Now I've been writing, excuse me. I've been writing two books. One of them about service. I got to figure out how to name and finish it up. And I don't know if it should be a book or it should be a class or something, but because spoken word, or not spoken word, speaking engagements, and is something that's I like to do. I did a lot of them in my industry. But anyway, then the other one is How to Be a Man by Mark's son. My dad's name was Mark. And I didn't figure I could put it out until I was a little bit older, but I've been writing this for many years. And to watch, to allow myself to understand and learn from people I know and don't know has been a challenge through my life. Because of, well, I think ego comes from insecurity, or having overconfidence comes from insecurity as well. I think it's a masking for deeper issues. And then, so I looked at and said, okay, well, real confidence is not ego, or not bravado. So my confidence in that the men that I learned from, such as yourself, my dad, uncles, other really fantastic men in my life, have all led me to the point where I'm in the middle of Arkansas, sitting here talking with you. So you want to talk about consequences and having the humility to go, let me try it, because I don't do anything without thinking about it. Or, I mean, you want to talk about plan and execution and having it, again, paralysis through analysis. I like the analysis part. The execution part usually happens in crazy ways. But back circle to when I just saw this today, all of those things lead me to those moments of like, hi, Cliff. It really does. Because if I didn't respect you, again, like I said, I will fire people out of my life pretty quick. But if I didn't respect you and I didn't think that you had something valuable, I probably wouldn't have ever messaged you.
Yeah.
And, you happened to be on and you were getting ready to be done. And I was looking for some stupid court case to put on so I could go work outside in the heat. Actually, it's beautiful today. But so, yeah, that's again, okay, that's an explanation, or excuse me, an example of me getting a little wordy and coming back around to it. But it's a great value. And if you ever start questioning yourself about it, man, please understand that there's some of us that have been listening for as long as you've been doing it, that really have gleaned a lot over the years. And maybe it's something that spoke to me today. Maybe it's something that I remember, 6 months from now when something's happening. I'm like, oh, I remember watching this and then having to go back in the videos. I mean, I've done that before. And so if you ever start questioning yourself, understand there's guys like me out here just plugging through life, that you do help and you do inspire. And it comes from weird places.
Yeah.
And,
Well, let me tell you something really awesome. Anytime I ever start questioning myself, somebody like you shows up and says those kind of things. So, yeah, it's awesome. Ben, let me just ask you this. On a scale of 1 to 10, how likely are you to launch one of those two podcast ideas that you have within the next 90 days?
10 to
Okay.
10,
Which is it going to be, the conversations with the bartender first?
more than likely.
All right.
But yes,
What is the
I
desired
guess.
what is your desired launch date for that?
I was thinking around Thanksgiving when everyone's home.
Okay. And when it launches in Thanksgiving, what does that look like? You have how many episodes already in the can, or you begin production right around Thanksgiving? What does that look like?
No, I probably need to have. I think you're supposed to put out like 5 or 6 at the time when you, or have them in the can, then dump 2, and then have them to just push.
Yeah, I've heard that
Um,
before.
mhm.
Um, I have
I
55 podcasts, and guess how many of my podcasts I've done where I've launched any more than one podcast episode?
never
0. Never
really.
done it. Yeah.
Okay.
Of course, then again, don't look at me because I don't have any podcast out there. Well, that's not true. I've had a couple podcasts with over 100,000 subscribers, but those were all devoted to like the Twilight Saga and Hunger Games saga and a
See, this
couple
is the other
television
part that
shows.
everybody doesn't know. Is it? I don't like to admit it, but I'm a huge nerd, huge, and I love all that shit. So yeah.
Yeah. All right. So,
Mhm.
but your
Go ahead.
your desire, regardless of what people say you should have, your desire is to have a couple in the can. So, when are you going to begin production on those first few episodes?
So my one of my best friends is coming in town the end of October, and he's fantastic. He's staying with us for a week, so him, and then I'm supposed to go home 1st of October and interview. I've already set up to be able to talk to some restaurateurs that I work with, and
Okay. So end of October, you're going to already start filming some of this stuff. And and I say filming because you're planning for it to be on YouTube. What is the actual component? Are you doing 3 camera shots, so 3 different cameras, and putting it all
Not right
together?
now.
One
Right
camera
now,
shot.
one camera and then really great audio. Unfortunately, that's what I have to work with. You know,
There's no unfortunately. It just is what it is. That's why I'm asking. So
yeah,
so one camera.
I,
What camera are you going to use?
you're looking at it, buddy.
Excellent. Okay, that's wonderful. Is that an iPhone or
Sorry,
Android?
iPhone.
Okay, so you're going to use your iPhone to record. What
Mm-hmm.
microphone are you going to use?
I have some the Rodecaster Pro, and then I've got a couple of the podcaster mics. What is
Nice.
it? Yeah.
So you already have that gear already purchased?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Excellent.
Yeah, I've had for years.
And have you already tested it out and done some test recordings?
Mm-hmm.
Excellent.
My wife went and had a surgery, and she wanted to do before and afters, so we did some interviews. Actually, used 2 cameras: her camera and my camera.
Nice.
Go ahead. Sorry.
And have you taken the raw footage of the video and matched it up with the
Oh, with the audio, yes, I have put those 2 together.
Okay, so you have actually taken raw footage of a conversation that was recorded separately on the iPhone and the Rodecaster Pro. You've brought it into software, matched up the audio, and have you made any edits and then released a final edit?
Nothing released. I've done everything. I brought everything into the what program were we using? It's irrelevant. But never released it.
Okay.
She and I have watched it.
By the way, it doesn't matter that it's been released yet. My
Okay.
question is, you brought it into whatever software, whether it be Final Cut Pro or Avid or
I think I used GarageBand, to be honest. Not GarageBand.
GarageBand would be
Movie.
audio. Okay,
No.
iMovie.
Yeah.
Okay, so iMovie. The important thing is that you've been able to take the video footage, match it to the audio, go in and make like 2 or 3 cuts, like just in case there's some things you wanted to cut
Mm-hmm.
out. Move, do some edits like you would if you were editing a full thing. It could be a
Mm-hmm.
3-minute video project that you work on, but where the audio is
Mm-hmm.
separate. In essence, what you need to do is before you have these first conversations, make sure you've actually tested that you can go all the way from raw video file from the iPhone, raw audio file from the Rodecaster Pro. I've brought it into software, synced up the audio, made some edits, and then exported as a video file combining it all, and I'm able to view it from beginning to end, and I'm happy with the result. Have you done
Okay.
that yet?
Not all the way. Not
Okay.
all of it. No.
So
I didn't. Go ahead.
So that is your next step. And you want to do that at least a week to 3, anywhere between 1 to 3 weeks before you go and record that first episode.
Okay.
And ideally, if you could do it 2 or 3 times just to familiarize yourself with the software and stuff like that. If you wait,
I have time. Yeah.
because
I'm retired. I just do whatever the wife says.
exactly. And
Go
the
on.
thing
I'm sorry.
it's all right. You want to actually go through and make sure you learn as much as you can about the workflow of this process, because it will be the most challenging part. Sitting down and having the conversations is just going to be flow state for you. But it's taking that raw material afterwards. And if you do a couple of these test productions before the live production, it's best to learn what you need to learn now so that doesn't keep your release date from being launched,
Makes sense.
or learn that, oh my gosh, there's some fatal flaw that I had and it didn't record the way it was supposed to.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you.
Yeah. So, and then once you have those first episodes like all produced and edited and ready to go, the next steps after that are super simple.
I mean, I already have the channel. I actually have been looking for a new name for my YouTube channel. Is one that I'm going to be doing. Well, 2 new YouTube channels, but I'll work on that stuff.
Yeah, and of course, ChatGPT could be your best friend there. The
Yeah.
number of times I go through with all of my podcast episodes, I actually take my entire transcript of every word that I spoke in a podcast episode, and I dropped the
No.
transcript in, and I said, hey, okay, I need 20 different options for podcast titles. And it gives me all of these different options. And I said, and so I need some that are,
Terrifying.
you know,
Holy.
I want super catchy, hooky. I want super conversational. I want something more
Mm-hmm.
fun and light, and I just go back and forth in variations, and it always comes up with something that I ultimately love and works.
Yeah. I've always been fascinated with. I'm sorry, I was going to tangent. Never mind.
No, go ahead, tangent. I
I
still
was just
have at least 14 more minutes for tangents, so we're good.
I have or tangent. I like it. I was going to say like Jimmy DeResta. Do you know who that is? DeResta. He's a maker on YouTube.
I don't.
Look him up. Sometime his videos. I like his older videos. I like his new videos too, but his older ones were all no word, no words, and you would see his hand. Sometimes you saw his face, but not much. And it wasn't about him. It was just him making stuff. He had this sound where he would take a hammer and he'd be beating on something, whether it be metal or wood or whatever, and he was speeding it up so fast, but he still had that sound. And it's I don't know what it is about that stupid sound, but every time I hear it, and watching him do the action of hammering, there was something about that part of there. I was like, okay, now I understand ASMR. But what I'm saying is his videos, they're never really, they do really well, but it doesn't conform. He's one of these guys that doesn't really have to conform to any of the, well, like you said, I want one conversation. I want something catchy. I want to, he's not suiting for demographic. He just goes, I like this, puts it out. It happens. I love that. Now, the fact that he's successful about it is a testament to he hit a niche at a right time, and everybody's just stuck with him. And he's kind of been the grandfather, the godfather of makers, YouTube makers. Um, but I appreciate that about him. Now it's I don't always like the stuff that he's making, and sometimes I think it's the most amazing stuff. But it's fascinating when we talk about again like the authenticity. That's him. That's
Yeah.
Dresden, and it's fun to watch. And then the same thing with you. You don't. Yours has always been mission driven. Is always what it's yours is for like. If you're
Yep.
trying to get something to people instead of, hey, I like making this. I mean, I'm making some money anyway, but I mean, this is cool too. Um, so there's a dramatic difference. What I would like to do kind of falls somewhere probably more aligned with what you're doing.
Yep.
Because again, I think those services, the service spirit is something that really, really is missing in the world. And I
Yeah.
think the other part of this thing about young men, um, just kind of this amorphous kind of shapeless way of going through life instead of being diligent and driven. And nobody's giving them any real direction. A lot of people, a lot of them, not all of them, obviously, but some.
You brought that back up again. This young man. I want to share with you one of the things that I noticed earlier when you brought up Wild at Heart and then began to talk about Wild at Heart. Like you lit up like a Christmas tree. I mean, it's like you were glowing with energy on this side. So one of the things that I know about John and Stacey Eldridge, my wife went to a John and Stacey Eldridge retreat in Colorado in the
Really?
Rocky Mountains. Yeah.
How does she love that?
It changed her life forever.
Right.
So, but
So she
hers,
read,
it was The Captivating Retreat is the book. Yeah.
sorry, I
So,
didn't mean to interrupt you.
but one of the things that both John and Stacey Eldridge does is they actually go and host retreats where people come and they talk about the topics related to the material in Wild at Heart and or Captivating.
Mm-hmm.
And what the reason why I bring this up is you're like, I'm looking for something to do, and creating a restaurant doesn't seem to be the path given the
Mm-hmm.
demographics of the area and the economic plan. But also what I hear you say is, man, I'm living out here in a place that is to me considered the wilderness. And
A little bit. Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking, wow, is there some sort of opportunity for you to host retreats for young men to come out and for you to be, in a situation where in a retreat you can mentor these young men and help explore questions. Just look at the number of young men with no fathers in their life, no father figure, and just
Or crappy ones. Yeah.
or crappy ones. But yeah, it just that
Yeah.
just occurred to me because the way you lit up when you talked about the book Wild at Heart just just something that came up, and when you just brought it up again just now, I just felt
Mhm.
do whatever you will with it, but it just occurred to me.
See, that's always been something for me. One of my favorite parts about my previous career was actually the mentorship portion,
Mm-hmm.
because I'm big successful restaurateur, and there's an element of celebrity that goes with what I did, and so it attracted dudes. The guys with these young men that I would hire and whatnot, they were like, oh, how do you do this? This seems kind of cool. That was my favorite part,
Yeah.
and teaching me all about everything, like the dumb stuff that nobody tells you how to do, like how to tie a tie, or hey, you know what? Wash your clothes every day. Get up, wash your butt every day, brush your teeth every day. It's an important thing to do, um, because not just because of how it affects everyone else, but how it affects yourself. Dress nice. Don't I really don't like. In fact, I only wear a t-shirt when I'm in my shop. I would never have. I actually thought about before I was maybe I run and put on it, but I always wear a button-down shirt. Always. If I'm going to go in public, I'm wearing a collared shirt, and it's not because only. Excuse me. I do feel better in it. I do like that, but it's also a respect for the people around you. And today, everybody's, we always make the jokes about, well, I remember when my day, when I would get on a flight, everybody would dress up, or at least they were wearing jeans and a nice shirt. Now everybody's wearing sweatpants, and whatnot. And part of it was TSA, I get it, but it's also about the respect for others. And like I was saying before, that's where the service part comes in, which is, especially with young men, is being of service. And okay, not to get on a tangent here on the Bible, but the Bible never said to be weak, not once. It said meek, but meek is different than weak. And the Lord also used men of David, man after my own heart. Didn't he wipe off entire civilization, or entire not civilization, groups of people, tribes, killed them all, killed them all. But the one that gets me is everyone. We have this view of what Christ was, and the teacher, and just walking around, and yes, he's soft spoken, and he was those things without a doubt. Um, but he was also a guy that took a bundle of cords. Bundle of cord would mean 5 to 10 pieces of rope, maybe 3 or 4 feet long, and he drove a room full of men. He emptied that room. Now, yes, it was. They were in his father's house, and they were called the changers of coin. One guy, a little bit of rope, men, a room full of men, and one guy drove all of them out. That's not weak. Now you can be meek, and but he was righteous, and to teach young men that strength is something that is not something that they should be striving for, I think it was a mistake, and it's how it's balanced between. Um, I don't like to even use the term toxic masculinity, but the way people are saying it, toxic masculinity is a figment of your imagination. That's criminals. Toxic masculinity needs to go away from our lexicon. That's criminal behavior. Masculine is what saves everyone from criminals and criminal behavior. Masculinity is. And this is not to say that you're going to find women that don't have a value and women aren't capable. And I'm not saying that at all. But if we're not teaching young men that being strong is important, and being strong and being capable is important, and being well dressed and well mannered and well spoken and well read, all of those things is a list of stuff that a young man needs to know before he starts getting too old. And because it prepares him. In fact, years ago, I had a man that was teaching me how to bartend, actually. I know, 19 or 20 years old, something like that. And his name was Ben as well. And he had, side by side, he had the Quran and the Bible. And I was asking about this, and he was actually converting, which good for him, whatever. But he told me that in Muslim faith, they believe that you're not a man until you're 40, only because you've seen things a couple of times and you know how to react to it. Now, I don't know the rest about what's in the Quran. To be perfectly honest with you, I haven't read it. But that right there that made a lot of sense to me. And so experience goes through it. But I take that and I go to the next step, is if I can't get the experience that you can, and I don't accept the experiences, and you don't give the experiences and that knowledge base to me, then I'm going to have to go through it to do it, to get that level of wisdom. And if you can let's say every father should be looking at their son saying, I want to level him up. I'm going to teach them my stuff. And that's what we do. I mean, fathers will do that. But there's a lot of young men out there that don't have fathers, or their fathers aren't good, or their fathers are unaware of this. I mean, because it's not, I mean, apathy is just as bad as absence sometimes. And I think that if we're going to allow the world to become, you can't just sit by and watch. It was a Paine said, the only way for evil to prevail is for a good man to stand by and do nothing. When we're teaching an entire civilization, an entire society to do nothing. And then we wonder why there's acting out, and we wonder why, you get bad actors in different. You've got stuff going, don't you? I'm sorry.
No, I'm good.
I told you I'll get going.
No, my wife just
Anyway.
texted me, and I just wanted to make sure it wasn't anything emergency wise. So we're good.
My wife threatened me to go outside and fight with her, not beat her up. She says, I think we should go on, we should fight it out in the backyard. I'm not sure what it entails, but it's going to be a fun one.
Well, let me tell you something. Just that last bit there, just as I reflected back to you when you lit up about Wild at Heart, and just everything you were just talking about. I mean, JR even is still out here. He's riveted to the YouTube channel because he's been listening this entire time, and he agrees that meek is even misunderstood from that verse often and doesn't mean what we think. I mean,
He's right.
it's very clear to me, Ben, that you have a desire to share what you're sharing in those conversations. Matter of fact, JR is even popping in now. A better interpretation is controlled strength.
Well, I like that. What's it, Lawhorn?
Yeah, JR Lawhorn.
Mr. Lawhorn, thank you.
Yeah.
I agree. Controlled what? I'm sorry.
Controlled
what?
Controlled strength.
Controlled strength. Controlled strength.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
I like that. But anyway, what all I want to do is I want to reaffirm what I'm witnessing. I see you come alive when you speak into what men, specifically young men, really need to hear. And there's a lot of young men I think probably would be very much interested in whatever capacity that you would share, whether it's through content, through a podcast or a YouTube channel, whether it's through offering mentoring one-on-one or in small groups, or even offering retreats and or any of those things. There's an energy about you when you're on that topic. And so I just wanted to reflect what I saw. What you do with it, completely up to you. But
thank you,
Ben. I just want to say thank you for, number one, when you saw my live stream and you heard me just say, I maybe in. Thank you for this when you just said, "Hey, Cliff," thank you for that. And then thank you when you said, "I've been watching for a long time." And then you started engaging. So I just want to say thank you for doing that. I am so honored to have had this opportunity to have this conversation with you. I do believe in consequences, as you do as well.
Sorry.
But I do not believe in coincidences. And your presence here, this conversation, is yet another confirmation that, yeah, Cliff, this is still what I want you to do, kind of that voice from within. And I hope that when we're finished here, as soon as we wrap up, that you'll open up that browser window, choose a date and time, and schedule.
It's still open. As soon as we're done, I will.
Awesome. I look forward to our private one-on-one. We can go as deep as you want. It'll be completely confidential.
Okay.
All right.
Just understand the amount of swearing I'm going to do on it. No,
you can swear as much as you want, as long as you don't mind if I mirror it back to you. I happen to.
I'd feel bad if you didn't.
I have a habit of mirroring back what people throw out. So go finish whatever it is you're going to do out in that beautiful weather out there.
Right.
And it's been a pleasure, my friend. Thank you.
The pleasure's mine. Thank you.
All right. Have a good one.
Very much. I mean, you too.
All right. Bye. All right. Thank you guys so much. What an incredible gift that was today. I'm so thrilled. By the way, I am scheduled here for the rest of this week, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. I will go live at 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time, and I will stay here as long as somebody is willing to join me and have a conversation. And I'll play it by ear as to how long I stay, whether I stay for a whole 90 minutes and hold out to see if somebody joins me at that last 10 or 15-minute mark. It happened once before, but I'm going to just listen intuitively from within and make a decision on a day-by-day basis. But man, am I thrilled that today's stream went down the way it did. I hope that I might have. Here's what I know. If I'm speaking to you right now, you're watching live or you're watching a replay, and you've been watching me you've been following my journey for years. You've resonated with so many different things that I've shared. It doesn't mean that you agree with everything. Certainly. I don't know that I agree with everything that I've shared over all of the years. In fact, I'm certain that I don't agree with everything. But if you're still tuned in at the end of this replay, I just want to invite you. I want you to know I have a desire to know who you are. I mean, it's always a pleasure when I find somebody who comes along like Ben, and it's like I've been following you for 10, 15 years or whatever, and this is the first time we're interacting. If you doubt for a second that I would be interested to know who you are and what's going on in your world, if you doubt it for a second, let me just set aside all doubt. I do care. I'd love to hear from you. And you could email me, cliff@cliffravenscraft.com. Just tell me that you're out there. I'd love to hear from you. Not that I need it for my ego or to feel good about myself, but I just love it. Every time somebody reaches out to me and says, I've been following for this long, whether you tell me why or not, it's just a continued reminder that what I do here is important and that it is a good and worthy use of my time, effort, and energy. And I do want to be a great steward of that as well. So I would love to hear from you. Email me, cliff@cliffravenscraft.com. Don't forget to go here, cliffravenscraft.com/join. Type that into your browser, cliffravenscraft.com/join. Look at the schedule and then just put a little note in your calendar to join me during the first 5 to 10 minutes of one of those live streams. And if nothing else, join me either on Facebook or YouTube and put a little comment and say hello. And I would definitely love to have a conversation with you via the Zoom. And it's over here at cliffravenscraft.com/join. All right, I'm out of here. I smell dinner upstairs. Stephanie said that dinner is ready. So many blessings, and I wish you all the best.